In a number of spiritual paths, your deeper questions might find answers in a session in the pastor's study. You're looking for something more, so let's offer you something different. Merry meet, blessed be, and welcome to yet another session in a very different pastor's study. I'm Aiden Odinson, High Priest of the Temple of Gaia, and a priest of the Universal Gnostic Fellowship. After the audio podcast and the Secrets in Plain Sight, and some of the other things I've been looking at lately, I realized that there's an issue here that I ought to discuss here. And that's this character called the devil, that so many of the Christians are so worried about. Now, let's get one thing straight. I personally do not believe in this character whom so many Christians salivate about, go overboard about, and hyperventilate about, that they call the devil. Logic argues against its existence. Go through some of the basic principles discussed in even something as basic as Buckland's Big Blue Book, and you'll see that logic argues against the existence of a being who is completely and pure evil. No, there's a continuum. Now, there are some people and entities that have an awful lot of evil. And there are others that have an awful lot of good. And there's plenty in between. But a being that's pure evil, it's logistically impossible too. Even the most extreme fundamentalist Christian will admit and actually will point out that their devil uses good for his own purposes. Now, how could that be if that being was totally evil? Now, that does not deny the existence of evil, or beings which are evil, very evil. And these can include evil spirits, various other forms of evil beings, and evil people as well. We've all experienced them, and some of us are here as a result of such an experience. Some of us have come here to this place, to the Secrets in Plain Sight, to some other places, because of dealing with evil. And yeah, even at the most mundane level, the most secular, worldly level of thinking or being, you'll find the experience of having a friend who turns on a friend. Maybe it's happened to you. The person who makes use of what was given in confidence for their own purposes, including possibly a smear campaign. Or somebody who has their own agenda. And sometimes it's done in the name of the divine. Sometimes they claim they are serving their deity, supposedly the same one that you're serving, to do what they're doing. Or they will sometimes attribute misfortune or what somebody else does as the will of the divine. And I can imagine the divine and quite a number of aspects of the divine have a few things to say about what's been said about their will and what's been done in their name. But if the physical plane, the physical, mundane, secular plane of daily, mundane life has all that, what makes you think that the spiritual realm would be any different? As above, so below. As below, so above. So why wouldn't it? I have this one interesting theory. And it's the same theory that caused me to say that Osama bin Laden would be alive as long as Bush was president. But as soon as Bush was no longer president, he better watch out. And that's not to say that I'm accusing George W. Bush of anything except of one thing. And it's the same thing that I ask of certain Christians. Face it, good boogeymen are hard to find. Especially one that you can focus all your attention on. Well, you know what? There's a bunch of them. Of varying types and degrees, and some of them aren't so bad until they get into the mood. Some of them will claim to be nice and claim to be your friends. And there are some that are just plain stinkers. But not an absolute. Not the absolute full end of the spectrum. That's my personal theory. Unfortunately, focusing too much on one, you might miss some others. I seem to recall in Moby Dick the ship found itself in the middle of a great big huge pod of whales. And the guys could have been home by Christmas for all the whales that were there. But no, Captain Ahab had that one great white whale that he wanted to go after. And that was the only one. And guess what? So what do? Best thing is to put it behind you if you can. There have been people that I've turned my back on. Just said that they're in my past. And they're not going to be in my present. And they certainly will not be in my future. Most of you can relate to that. You've had some people that you've had to say that about. Sometimes you do have to confront it, but it's best not to. It's best to put it in perspective. Behind you. like a childhood bully. I remember somebody who used to bully me in elementary school and junior high school. Well, guess what? I've moved ahead. Last I've heard, he's still living at home with Mommy. A childhood bully loses its power if he doesn't have somebody to victimize. And it's my absolute belief that most evil can be dealt with that way. At least most of it that most of us encounter in our daily lives. I'm Iden. Blessed be. Uriel's Gifts and The Secrets in Plain Sight are sponsored by the Temple of Gaia. At Temple of Gaia, we don't train you to our path. We show you how to find and pursue your own path. Above all, we tried to provide a great place to come together and to share. We're located in Collingdale, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia, and wherever cyberspace can be reached. To learn more, visit our website at templeofgaiainc.org or our meeting place in cyberspace at templeofgaia.ning.com. Thank you for coming. Feel free to return at any time. We intend to always have something for you here. Blessed be. This has been a presentation of the Wise Ones Net. Merry part and blessed be.